Welcome, Assemblymember Wood.
Good morning.
And thanks for your patience as well.
Of course, absolutely. Good morning, Chair and members. This is AB 325. The Community Development Block Grant Program, or CDBG, is a federally funded program designed to expand economic opportunities for people of low and moderate income. These funds can be used for a variety of essential local projects, from affordable housing to supporting small businesses. The dissolution of redevelopment agencies has made CDBG an even more invaluable resource for economic growth. Unfortunately, the Department of Housing and Community Development is making this resource challenging to access. The small cities and counties who need these federal funds the most don't have the resources or the expertise to navigate an unnecessarily burdensome process. It is rarely less than 6 months between application and acceptance and fund availability. And I have several examples from my district of the process taking longer than a year. The department's process has become so burdensome that several cities in my district have quit applying for the grants altogether. Additionally, CDBG has a requirement that at least 50% of the approved funds need to be spent in order to be eligible to apply for funding the following year. However, due to the length of the approval process, jurisdictions are being restricted from applying for the following year's funds. This eliminates a valuable resource for communities that desperately need it. The issue is one that was originally taken up by my predecessor, Mr. Chesbro. He held several meetings between stakeholders and the department. AB 325 seeks to create a timeline for the department to adhere to. This timeline will ensure access to these valuable federal dollars. Since I've been in office, we've also held several meetings, and we are in the process of scheduling others. I do not take legislative fixes lightly, and I'm continuing to work with the department on this issue. But I cannot ignore the problems that have been presented to me by constituents from my district. This resource is far too valuable for the state to keep out of the hands of our communities. I want to thank the committee, and I'd like to have a couple of people here to speak on behalf of the bill. Cindy Hillary for the Rural County Representatives of California, and Craig Shatler with the Community Development Commission of Sonoma County. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, and please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Cindy Hillary on behalf of the 34 rural counties in California. I represent some of the most rural and remote parts of the state, as does the author, Assemblymember Wood. These are the parts of the state that are ideal candidates for the types of economic development opportunities envisioned by CDBG grants. However, small and rural local governments are often denied the benefit of these grants due to limited resources to apply and compete for state grant programs. Even for those that take on the application process, take on the application process, it is unfeasible or impossible for these jurisdictions to embark on the process of following up on a rejection due to a lack of staffing. AB 325 makes it much more realistic for smaller jurisdictions with less staff, often with limited expertise with these types of state programs and grants, to participate in the process, and better highlights for them the path to follow to reach success. Thank you. I urge an aye vote.
Thank you very much. Next witness, please.
Good morning, members of the committee and chair. My name is Craig Schlatter, and I'm the Development and Sustainability Manager for the Community Development Commission of Mendocino County. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this issue, and I want to especially thank Assemblymember Wood for sponsoring this important legislation. CDBG funding has always been important, but today it is vital to rural California communities. The loss of redevelopment funding combined with the economic downturn affected all California communities, but small cities and counties have been hardest hit. As the need for CDBG funding is increased, systemic weaknesses in HCD processes for accessing that funding have been illuminated. The cumbersome process for accessing CDBG funds puts small cities and counties at significant disadvantage compared to their larger urban counterparts. One example of this process in our community involved the loan request for a small business startup. And another example was during a general conditions approval process. The loan was approved by HCD in 7 months, and the general conditions were approved by HCD in 6 months. Both approvals involved multiple reviews and changes by HCD staff, including HCD representatives and the section chief giving different direction than other representatives, and correspondingly multiple revisions and resubmittals by City of Ukiah and Community Development Commission staff. Delays caused by HCD have hampered local job creation efforts in our community, and has caused the City of Ukiah to be ineligible for CDBG funding in 2015. During these approval processes, the City of Ukiah and other jurisdictions often have to front large sums of funding for a year or longer. before receiving reimbursement from HCD. In contrast, the CDBG reimbursement time for large cities and counties can be as little as 3 to 5 business days. California is consistently ranked near the bottom of all states in expending CDBG funds. Let's work together to fix systemic policy weaknesses and enable this critical CDBG funding to revitalize our rural California communities. Please vote yes on AB 325.
Thank you very much. Additional witnesses in support of the bill? Seeing and hearing none. Witnesses in opposition to the measure, please step forward. Seeing none, let's bring it back to the committee. Any questions, comments from the committee members?
Move the bill.
The bill has been moved. Would you like to second?
Second.
The bill has been moved and seconded. I do have one question. How frequently is that situation occurring in these days? I mean, you mentioned instances where these applications would take up to a year or more, and in certain circumstances, days, for example. So how how severe is the problem?
Our experience has been it is fairly frequent, not just in our community in Mendocino County, but in other communities across Northern California. And it is occurring kind of as we speak with new policies and reports that are introduced. We see actually the general conditions approval process being extended even longer. So it is a problem.
Got it. Well, thanks for bringing that to our attention, because that's something that we need to look into as well. If there's deficiencies, we need to look at it. So thank you very much, Assemblymember Wood, for bringing it to our attention. So with that, would you like to close?
Yes, I'd just like to thank the committee for hearing the bill this morning. And I also want to impress, these are federal funds, and this is a state agency that is dispensing the funds. So they are the oversight agency. And quite frankly, we're really not trying to tinker with how the agency does its job. We're just trying to institute some guidelines that make it work for our communities around timing. Too often, the process that happens is that there are changes to rules in the middle of the process, which make it really difficult for cities to comply. So the sooner we can get the funds in the hands of the people who need them, the better we can do for our small communities. So I thank you very much. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Makes sense. Recommendation is do pass. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Recommendation states, do pass and refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Chow?
Aye.
Chow, aye. Steinorth?
Aye.
Steinorth, aye. Burke? Chu? Gaines? Lopez? Aye. Lopez, aye. Mullen?
Your bill is on call. You need one more vote. Thank you for being here. Next, let's go to Assemblymember Pereira. That's item 14, bill number AB 1412. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'd like to begin by just thanking you and your staff for working with us on this issue, as it's very important to a community in my district. So I want to thank you for your work, and also state that I'll be accepting the amendments that are outlined in the analysis. So thank you very much. AB 1412 would allow accelerated repayment of the loan made between the former redevelopment agency and the city of San Joaquin. Existing law sets a maximum annual loan repayment amount on sponsoring entity loans. It's based on growth and residual redevelopment property tax trust fund revenues. The existing repayment formula is very restrictive for some agencies. In many cases, the loan cannot be repaid for multiple decades. The city of San Joaquin in my district wants its sponsoring entity loans to be exempt from the maximum repayment amount. The qualifying loan has a principal balance of $1.25 million or less, and the loan is the only remaining debt of the former redevelopment agency. AB 1412 will benefit the city of San Joaquin, its citizens, and affecting taxing entities. The accelerated loan repayment will bring greater cash flow more quickly to the city of San Joaquin and affecting tax entities. It is estimated the city loan would be repaid 28 years sooner, and taxing entities would receive an additional $5.2 million in property tax revenues to fund their services. Would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much. Let's go to our witnesses, please.
Chadwick Juan, City of San Joaquin, City Manager. Mr. Chair, committee members, I sit here humble before you as this bill is very important to this small little city of 4,100. We're sitting at about 39 to 40% unemployment. We rely on ag, and with the water crisis, we need a new way to inject money back into our population. This repayment, the acceleration of this loan, would not only do that, but it would create jobs, reinvent the way we do business in city of San Joaquin, and help the way we can actually help our community members. So today, I sit here before you and ask you for a yes vote on AB 1412.
Next witness, please.
My name is Susie Kim. I'm a consultant for the city and available for any technical questions you may have.
Any other witnesses in support? Seeing none, witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, do I have a motion? We'll close after the motion. Do I have a second? Would you like to close, Mr. Perea?
Just respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Madam Secretary?
Motion states do pass as amended and be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Chow. Steinorth.
Aye.
Steinorth, aye. Burke. Chu. Gaines. Lopez. Lopez, aye. Mullen.
Your bill is on call.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 8. Mr. Assemblymember Cooley. Good morning.
Happy Wednesday, colleagues. Pleasure to be with you. Mr. Chair and members, my colleague, Madam Lopez, I'm here today to present AB 870 relating to rapid rehousing as a method to combat homelessness. And I definitely want to thank the committee staff for their assistance in this. We had a unnecessary definition set forth in the bill, some other terminology that we addressed. So I just want to thank them for their catches on that, and so I accept their technical amendments.
Thank you.
Homelessness, of course, is a big problem in our state, and we see a lot of it here in Sacramento County. There's many causes of it. My city of Rancho Cordova, which houses about 5% of the county's population, actually has almost 40% of the county's emergency and transitional housing for folks who've been caught up in homeless types of issues. So in particular, my city of Rancho Cordova, we see homelessness, but we have a lot of services that support people, and they are well established and been very well accepted within the community. The state's Department of Housing and Urban Development estimates that California has approximately 136,000 homeless persons, or about 20% of the nation's total homeless population. Studies have demonstrated that rapidly rehousing homeless persons, getting them in stable, normal housing situation that is both good for them but sort of reflects more normalcy, provides stability to their lives, and helps address homelessness and is more cost-effective for local government. This bill would create a pilot program in 4 counties administered by the Department of Housing and Community Development with $1 million in funding. We leave it to the department to identify the 4 pilot counties and ask that they prioritize those counties with demonstrated success in utilizing rapid rehousing principles. So that's $250,000 per pilot county. This is an idea that has been tried in other states. Interestingly, the state of Utah has been very innovative in using rapid rehousing to deal with homelessness in Utah. This bill is supported by the League of California Cities, the California Catholic Conference, and the County of Sacramento. And here today to testify is Joan Burke from Sacramento's Loaves and Fishes, who has a long history of working on homeless issues. So, Joan?
Good morning, committee members. Sacramento Loaves and Fishes is located about a physical mile from here, but it's a world away. And I'm very happy to be here to thank you for the decisions you make that we see the benefits at Loaves and Fishes. We provide services, survival services, to people who are homeless, and we also try to provide paths out of homelessness for them. Today we'll serve lunch to about 500 people. We have 12 different programs on site, a school, a medical clinic, a mental health program, various other programs for folks who are homeless. And I just want to say that rapid rehousing works. I see it every day. There are so many people who are crisis homeless, and with a bit of targeted help and a time-limited rental subsidy, they can quickly regain a home. This additional funding will provide flexibility. Currently, we have CalWorks dollars that we can utilize for rapid rehousing. So if we have a mom with 3 kids who's receiving CalWorks, we have access to those funds to help her and her children get back into a home. If we have another mom who's actually working but not making enough, she's not eligible for CalWorks, we don't have rapid rehousing funds for her. So this type of funding would be supplemental and would make sure that we're able to help all those who would benefit from this program. So I very much appreciate your consideration, and I hope you will approve it.
Thank you, Joan.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Tim Cromartie on behalf of the League of California Cities. We are pleased to support this important and urgently needed measure. We want to applaud the leadership, compassion, and thoughtfulness of Assemblymember Cooley in bringing it forward. As he said, there are 136,000 homeless in California. The sheer scale of this problem indicates an issue of crisis proportions. One of the reasons that the solution posed by the pilot program in this bill is more cost-effective to both state and local governments is in part because it facilitates addressing other problems that may also face the homeless, including mental health issues, substance abuse problems, and the need for employment. This bill facilitates a means of providing immediate housing to those in need and delivers the kind of rapid and effective solutions that this crisis demands.
Thank you. Are there additional witnesses in support?
Thank you, Chair and members. Angela Pontus representing the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. Sacramento County currently has a housing support program offering rapid housing services, and we're pleased to support Mr. Cooley's bill to increase funding opportunities. Thank you.
Nicole Wertelman on behalf of the Ventura County Board of Supervisors, also in support. We'd be interested in being part of the pilot, and we have utilized the CalWorks housing support program to house about 200 families in this fiscal year.
Thank you.
Good morning again. I'm Zella Knight, and I'm representing the voice for the formerly homeless and homeless for the County of Los Angeles. We vehemently support any opportunities to increase and expand and eliminate homelessness. Thank you.
Good morning, Marlene Hurd. I'm with the Building Opportunities for Self-Sufficiency boss. We do a lot of work with housing the homeless population, and we are strongly in support of this. Thank you.
Jarrell Scott Huggins on behalf of the City of Oakland. I also strongly support, because especially you have individuals who are wanting to flee situations such as prostitution and all of that, and the law won't help them when they're running from these people that are trying to get them. You got stalking and all those things, so I strongly support.
Thank you, Joan.
Mr. Rojo, Justice Now, strong support.
John Bowders, Policy Director at Housing California. We do not have an official position on this bill, but it would have been undue for me to not be here and thank Assemblymember Cooley for putting this initiative before you. There's a total dearth of resources for homelessness programs, and so we thank him for this initiative.
Any additional witnesses in support? Seeing none, witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, questions from the committee?
And thank you, Mr. Cooley, to bring this a wonderful bill, highly needed, especially in my district. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Any additional questions from the committee? Well, I do have a question, Mr. Cooley.
Sure.
What I would like to ask is, it revolves around the passage recently of Proposition 41, where we saw basically $600 million to address this very issue. My concern is whether appropriating an additional $1 million from the general fund is appropriate when we haven't really seen the impact of 41 yet.
I guess I would say this is a fair question. This bill will go from here to, of course, the fiscal committee, where they'll sort out some of the fiscal ramifications. this is a urgent, pressing issue. And I actually think more precious actually than dollars, although I view myself as very cautious on the dollars front in our work, is time itself. And the chance to take a model which has shown success in other jurisdictions, in some counties here, to get a pilot up and running so they can start grappling with how you implement this sort of thing. I think this is the sort of innovation we've got. I want to say personally the homeless issue is a matter of personal interest of mine, not thankfully that I have been homeless, but as a city official I chaired the Select Committee on Homelessness for the League of California Cities, kind of working on these issues. For many years, and even, it's sort of funny, when I first ran for this office, my particular race was sort of the eye of the storm. That was a $9 million race. The Friday before that final election, I was out at 6 a.m. at Loaves and Fishes working as a volunteer because I personally have felt that working on behalf of homeless is sort of a way to keep me grounded, to keep my feet on the ground in my public aspirations, responsibilities. I do that every year. I've included my daughter-in-laws and pastors and other folks out there. So I would grant that there may be questions of where this fits in the queue of ideas, but I think it is notable that a very conservative state like Utah actually felt this was a big idea that they put into place. I think that commends it to our attention. I think the grounding it gives people in normal life, which is a part of helping them climb out of homelessness, makes the idea worth pursuing. So I'm bringing it forward. $1 million is $1 million. I do not discount that. But I think the preciousness of time to start doing something, to put something out there, to let some pathfinding counties troubleshoot this, it commends it, I think, to our interest.
Excellent. I have a follow-up question.
Yes, of course.
Is there any data out there as far as how many counties are currently operating a rapid rehousing program? And if so, if there's more than the 4 counties that we're specifying here to receive these funds, how would you be able to really focus on awarding those funds and the monies?
Well, I think there probably is data on that. I actually don't have it, Mr. Steinorth. The bill charges the housing agency with looking at counties where this money would make a difference. So so there may be other counties out there, but I think innovative programs where there's a clear housing need, where it would make a difference. I do expect subject matter experts to assist us in targeting the money in a fruitful manner. If anyone else would care to make a comment.
I'd like to add something. I used to work at the Department of Housing and Community Development, which is the department that's going to be making out these competitively awarded grants and evaluating the applications. HCD will have data on which counties are most heavily impacted by homelessness. They will certainly be factoring that into their decisions about which counties are awarded and which jurisdictions within those counties have the highest need.
Yeah. And to the extent that there are counties that have been working with this idea, I think that will sharpen up the sort of proposals, sort of raise the bar. They'll have a sense of what has been working. So if someone brings something that, well, we tried that elsewhere and it's not feasible, that would be it'll become a factor in where would the money be most propitiously spent.
Okay, very good. We have a motion. Do we have a second? I will second the bill.
Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Courtesy.
With that, I would like the clerk to call the roll, please.
Motion states to pass as amended and be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Chow. Steinorth.
Aye.
Steinorth, aye. Burke. Chu. Gaines. Gaines, no. Lopez. Lopez, aye. Mullen.
Your bill is on call, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones Sawyer, we appreciate your patience, sir.
Well, thank you.